cannot believe I am doing this. Hey guys, welcome back to another video on this very inactive channel. I hope you are having a great day, whatever day it is. It's Tuesday today, but I don't know when I'm going to be actually releasing this video to the world. So just pretend it's Tuesday. Today I'm going to be doing a video that I never expected myself to do until 2 weeks ago. And that is a book review. Yes, I am doing a book review. Crazy. I've been really into booktube lately and I felt like I should just contribute and do my own book review in my own style and just give my 2 cents on something that does not need my 2 cents. And if you did not already see by the title, the book of today's review is Scythe by Neil Shusterman. This is a book that I did not think I would read. However, here we are. My ELA teacher last year had 7 copies of this book and I took one look at the cover and I said, I don't think that's a book I'd be interested in reading. I was completely wrong. I judged a book by its cover, literally, and I am here to redeem myself. Not only have I read Scythe, but I also have read the rest of the series. Hold on a second, did I say series? Yes, series. Scythe is not just one book, but it is also part of a trilogy called Arc of the Scythe. And yes, the paperback to hardback contrast disturbs me too. Do not get on my case about it. I am currently on the last book of the series called The Toll. I'm kind of sad that it's coming to an end, but I know that this is a series that I'll be rereading till the day I die. Now, back to Scythe. I will be putting this video into parts, and in the description box I will have all the timestamps for this, so you will not have to sit through this entire video if you only want to hear one part of it. There's also a spoiler section at the end of this video. Wow! They'll be talking about specifically things that happen in this book that will probably ruin it for you if you have not read it. But if you want to be that kind of person, which I am someone who always dives into spoilers no matter how much I don't want to hear them. So if you want to hear spoilers, then you can stick around too. But without further ado, let's get on to the review. That rhymed. Before I talk about the actual plot of Scythe, I wanted to talk about the world that Scythe resides in because it is really important to the story. It carries on through the entire series and it's just a really important concept to grasp so that you're not confused in any way on how certain things happen. So let's get into that. Scythe is a utopian/dystopian world in which anything that makes the world imperfect is now gone. It is erased, just a thing of the past. This includes things such as death, pain, hunger, racism. All of those things are now just eradicated. And above all things, there is no government. Instead, we have something called the Thunderhead, which is an AI database that just knows all things in the world of the past, present, and it can basically calculate anything that happens in the future too. You may think that the Thunderhead is something bad in this universe and it's secretly the villain, but sorry to say, it is not. The Thunderhead is actually just really nice and benevolent, and you will see more of this in the second book, Thunderhead. But we're not here to talk about that today. I will be making separate videos on Thunderhead and the Toll once I finished the last book. Back to Scythe. Back to Scythe. So we're not basically immortal, and this might confuse some people, so let's break it down for you. To start off with, there are things called nanites that are put into your bloodstream, which will curb pain, they will heal you really fast, they can speed up your metabolism. Basically anything that you program them to do, they will do for you, and it makes your life so much more easy, it's crazy. And surprise, surprise, you can still die, but instead of really dying, you are just rendering yourself deadish, which basically means what it sounds like. You're dead, but not really. When you render yourself deadish, you can be sent to be revived at a revival center, which reminds me of a tanning salon. This can happen within 1 week, and it's pretty crazy with all this technology that we now have, thanks to the Thunderhead. And finally, aging is still a problem, no matter what you do to not die. So in order to fix that problem, you can revert your body back to a younger age, and the youngest age you can do this to is 21. You would think this is a really cool concept, but actually I find this kind of creepy considering that you can have an 80-year-old walking around pretending to be a 23-year-old and no one's going to question it. And now I wanted to put a quick little trigger warning for Scythe because this does have some small mentions of suicide in it, considering that death is now not a problem. So if you think that small mentions of suicide might be a deal breaker for you, then I would highly suggest looking into this book a bit deeper before considering to read it. Good. But now there's just one problem that the world is still struggling to tackle, and that is overpopulation. And that is where the Scythes come in. Scythes are designated killers that go around and glean, which is just a glorified synonym for killing. They go around and glean people. This is at random. Now, Scythes can not only just glean, they can also give people immunity. And there are certain rules that regulate immunity and gleaning, but you will have to read the book for that because I'm not going to explain it for you. Now, let's get into the actual plot of this story. Scythe focuses on two main characters, Citra and Rowan, who are approached by an older Scythe named Scythe Faraday, and he basically just offers them this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to become Scythe apprentices. However, dual apprenticeships are not really a thing in the Scythedom, so in order to make this more interesting, the person who wins the apprenticeship has to glean the other person who does not get it. And that is the main kind of conflict going on in this story, while there are a ton of other things happening as well. That is pretty much all I'm going to say about the plot without spoilers. If you stick around to the spoilers section, you will see why. And on to my opinions. Starting off with the characters, let's start off with Citra. Citra is a really feisty teenager who questions this entire society because who wouldn't? I feel like anyone reading this book would kind of question at least one thing that's going on in this world, because honestly, the perfection aspect of it is something that you probably might want to think about, because we are now in a society where death is not a natural occurrence. So I'm really grateful that this plot makes you think about everything. So we next have Rowan, who is the boy. Wow, I'm really good at this, aren't I? We have Rowan, who is this average kid in a high school. He is not necessarily popular, but he's not an outcast. He's kind of in the middle and is just vibing with it. Regardless of his social status in the school, he is still just a nice guy, and that is why I love Rowan so much. Next is the plot. The plot twists in this book are something that I was never able to guess, no matter how many times I said, oh, this is going to happen, or maybe this will happen. I always ended up being wrong. And that is what I really liked about this book, is because it proved me wrong in several ways. One being that I wouldn't like this book, which is completely false, and then my ability to predict things that will happen. I've been knocked off of that grade, but nonetheless, I am still happy. Really though, it's just so interesting. Always fast-paced, it's never slow to me. Everything that is mentioned in the book is a necessary thing to add in for the plot. And then the last thing I wanted to mention was the writing style. A lot of reviewers said that this book didn't have that much description in it, and I can definitely agree with this because there wasn't much imagery at all, and it wasn't detail oriented, because the world in this book is not that much different from ours. It's just built on the foundation of what we have now, but just really enhanced with technology. And when you have something that's so similar yet so different from our world, it's actually just fine if you don't mention all the little detail, and it leaves you to imagine what your world would look like if there was a thunderhead, if there was no government, if you could just do anything but you wouldn't be in real danger. Overall, I really liked the writing style. I don't think that the lack of detail was a problem. Now onto the spoilers section. So if you have not read this book, I would suggest that you just don't watch this part, and after you've read it, come back. But if you do want to listen to spoilers, here we go. Something that shocked me in halfway through the book was the sudden switch to different sites. This meaning the Scythe Curie and Scythe Goddard exchange. That shocked me when I read it. I just didn't think that was how it was going to go down. I thought they were just going to be free, but then there would still be a problem within the Scythedom. But no. Instead, Citra gets handed over to one of the most respected sides, and then Rowan goes to the most psycho of all of them. This had me fearing for Rowan, but that wasn't even the biggest plot twist in my opinion. And then Goddard setting up the Hide Blade Xenocrates. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Hi, this is editing me here. So basically, I think the name is pronounced Xenocrates. So I'm sorry, Xenocrates, for pronouncing your name wrong. Bye. I thought that Goddard using Esme, Xenocrates' daughter, as some kind of, blackmail was just really clever, but also really scary. Truly, he could glean Esme at any time and have Xenocrates under his, control. It was so easy because Nocris knows that he can't expose his daughter to the world because it's illegal for Scythe to have any kind of relationship. The fact that she was just constantly in danger but she didn't know it, and she was such a young child, that just, whew, I was scared. And then Volta. Volta was a character that I did not expect to like be really interested in. I thought he was just going to be a buddy pal to Rowan, who was slowly becoming more and more of a killer. But what happened in the Tonist massacre was just crazy. I felt really bad for Volta because he had gotten himself into this really horrible place, and he finally escaped that when he had that opportunity. But I don't know, I just felt really bad. I wasn't attached to Volta in any way just because he didn't really make that many appearances, but just him being gone and himself gleaning was just... Speaking of the Tonist Cloister gleaning session that happened, Rowan decapitating Goddard. Wow. That was something that I did not see coming. I thought that Rowan was just going to miss. Goddard was going to just throw a punch at him and scold him for all this, and then he was just going to go after Rowan, but oh my gosh. And this made me fear Rowan the most because I knew that at that moment, because I could tell that he was not sorry at all for what he did. This is a really out of order spoiler section, but when Rowan and Citra had to do the battle at the Conclave, that was something else that really threw me off. I didn't expect Rowan to snap Citra's neck. I thought he could be smarter than that, but actually it helped her in the end. I don't know. Everyone around her was telling her like, he's doing this without any regrets. He doesn't regret killing you, and that made me kind of sad for the relationship, which is what I'm going to talk about next. Citra and Rowan's relationship was not really touched on in the books that I read so far, including the second one, which was even more shocking. It wasn't talked about a lot, and I think that's what a lot of people actually respect, but also kind of diss at the same time, because it's always so common to have a romance kind of take over a YA novel, but in this case, it wasn't a really big factor. And yes, in the end, they did say I love you to each other, but I think it was just their attempts at going after this relationship that they really didn't have, because they were just spending so much time away from each other. They couldn't build up a relationship even if they wanted to. And I think that's actually one of the things that was really accurate when describing teenagers, because I don't think that a teenager like that I know would go into this apprenticeship and just immediately try to like be with the person that they're training with. They still cared for each other no matter what happens. They still wanted to protect each other. One other thing about that relationship with them, the way that Citra would always be like, why is he not coming over and saying anything to me? Because even though they weren't really that close, I still got what she meant. But I understand where her jealousy comes from, even if it's out of nowhere. And I think that pretty much concludes my Scythe review. I really enjoyed this book. I really recommend it. I hope you read it too if you haven't already. I feel like I'm the last person to read this. And as I said before, I will be making videos on Thunderhead and the Toll together, but in a separate video, so that I can finish the Toll and talk about both of them in the most accurate way possible. And that is it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!